Mummy, it's me.
Clare, love, shouldn't you be at work?
I am at work.
Oh, no, that means I should be at work too.
No, it's all right. I've taken to getting into the office early.
Doesn't sound like the Clare I know and love.
Ah, well, it gives me the edge over all the other people on this course, particularly the men.
I see. The Building Society whisked you away to Sheffield to turn you into a cold-blooded, high-powered female executive, did they?
Yes, it's that much harder for a woman to succeed in a man's world.
So I've heard. Is that why you're taking the judo classes as well?
Partly got to be self-sufficient in this life.
Yes, well, don't get too self-sufficient, love. Granny and I are missing you.
Mummy, you know this is just meant to be a 3-month course at head office.
Yes?
Well, the thing is, Mr. Ashley, he's one of the tutors in staff training. He says that people who do best on this course, the high flyers, will be offered permanent jobs here.
Ooh.
Good jobs, very good jobs.
And I'm coming top in all the tests, Mummy. Which is one in the eye for Mr. Ashley, as it happens, because he doesn't seem to think women are as good as men.
Ah, you mean there's a chance you might stay in Sheffield?
A strong chance.
Oh.
So if you want to start thinking about finding someone to rent my flat, maybe you better go ahead.
Yes. Look, I can't really take this in at the moment. I'll ring you back this evening, all right?
Sure. Oh, after 9. I've got my judo class.
Right.
Bye, Mummy.
Bye, Claire.
Good morning, Miss France.
Good morning, Mr. Ashley.
Oh, I shouldn't bother your pretty little head about interest rate differentials. If I were you, I'd just carry on painting my fingernails. Still, I'm sure you'll benefit from as much hands-on experience as possible.
I think I'd benefit more from a bit of hands-off experience.
Very good, Miss France, very good. Very good for time, too. Another brownie point for being the early bird. Hoping to catch the odd worm, are you, Miss France?
You're the only one I've seen so far this morning, Mr. Ashley.
But you really think she was serious?
I do, yes. No, if Claire says she's moving out, she means it.
Sure.
She's coming down for the weekend of the 30th, so I'll be able to talk to her about it. But no, I think this is for real.
I'm sorry.
Oh, dear, does that mean I'm sounding all droopy and pathetic about it?
Well...
I get the message. Right. I will try to sound less droopy and pathetic. I will stop brooding and concentrate on finding a tenant for Claire's flat.
Sure, a lot of people would like a nice place like that.
Yes. I suppose I just advertise somewhere.
You don't sound keen.
No. It's just so, I don't know, so final.
The end of an era. The family home being invaded by strangers.
Bit of that, I suppose. You just wouldn't know what sort of person you might be getting.
Yeah, mass murderer, perhaps.
I hadn't thought in quite such dramatic terms.
No, maybe just a nice professional lady dealing in stocks and bonds.
That's all.
Well, you never know, do you? Of course, there is another consequence if Claire does move out.
What?
Well, not only will she be gone, but you will be left permanently alone in the house with your mother. Had you thought of that?
Russell, it's the first thought that came into my head. Why else do you think I look so paranoid?
Well, of course, the important thing about letting Claire's flat, Sarah, is that one gets the right class of person.
I see. Well, yes, those would be your priorities, Mother. I'm personally more concerned with what people are like than what class they come from.
It's the same thing, Sarah. What people are like depends on what class they come from. I mean, I'm as tolerant as the next person.
Oh, yes.
But the simple fact remains that people who were privately educated and speak nicely are nicer people than those who speak badly.
Mother, you are so prejudiced.
I'm not prejudiced at all, Sarah. Of course, I accept that there have to be common people.
Very good of you.
But I'm just saying that people who aren't common are naturally better people.
And you're not prejudiced?
It's not prejudice, Sarah. It's logic. That's the way the world works. It's a very sensible system. The people who aren't common are there to look after the people who are common. What? You've benefited. You've got lovely vows.
I don't see that my vows have anything to do with it.
Of course they do. Really, Sarah, can't you understand? The aim of private education is to get people to talk nicely.
That's its sole aim.
Well, to get people to talk nicely and all that involves.
But what do you mean by talking nicely?
I mean proper speech. received standard English, or whatever they call it nowadays. Until recently, I'd have said BBC English, but the standards in that organisation have dropped lamentably over the last few years. They're letting all kinds of voices broadcast now, Irish, Scots, and even having people from the north. And as for the presenters of children's television programmes, well, I can only assume that when they conduct interviews for those jobs, they automatically disqualify anyone whose speech they can understand.
Well, all right, Mother, you've made your views very clear, and all I can say is I'm sorry, but I don't share them.
Oh, but you do, Sarah.
I don't!
Yes, you do. Basically, we think alike about most things.
We don't, Mother. You're talking absolute nonsense.
I'm not. And even if I were, at least I'd be doing so with nice vows.
Mother, oh, never mind. Let's go back to where we started. How are we going to find the right person for Clare's flat?
I'm surprised you have to ask that, Sarah.
Why? What do you mean?
Well, there's only one way you find the right person in these circumstances.
Oh, what's that?
Well, it's very simple. You just advertise in the Lady.
Good morning, Miss France.
Good morning, Mr. Ashley.
Just looking at the results of yesterday's tests. Very good. Not just a pretty face, are you, my dear?
No, and I'm not your dear either, Mr. Ashley.
So whose dear are you, Miss France? Got a boyfriend who helps you out in the tests, have you? No, this is excellent. It's good, it's clear, it's logical. Might I flatter you by saying you have an almost masculine grasp of the subject?
I'd be more flattered if you said I had a feminine grasp of it.
I was wondering whether you might be free the weekend after next, Miss France.
Weekend after next?
Yes, it's one of the advanced induction seminars which the Society runs from time to time. Get all the young high flyers together in a country hotel for a few days to thrash over some ideas.
Does that mean I'm a high flyer?
So your results would suggest, Miss France. Up until now, I've only ever had cause to recommend male candidates for these seminars. Oh. But as with most things nowadays, it's only a matter of time before the first woman muscles in.
What?
On merit, of course, Miss France, on merit. So, as I was saying, I wondered whether you might be free to attend.
Well, actually, I had intended to go home and see my mother and grandmother that weekend.
Ah, such a pity. Well, it's not unexpected, of course. Women, I'm afraid, so often have to put domestic considerations before the demands of their work. Always some excuse. Having an emotional crisis or a baby. Well, never mind, Miss France, I'm sure I'll find
I'll
something.
come. I'll go to my mother's another weekend.
Are you sure? I mean, I'd hate my offer to ruffle any feminine feathers, Miss France.
I said I'll come.
Well, excellent. Oh, and one thing. Please don't mention the seminar to anyone else on the course. Don't want anyone to think you have an unfair advantage because of your sex now, do we?
On the evidence so far, Mr. Ashley, my sex would seem to give me an unfair disadvantage.
Oh. Very amusing. Anyway, must be off. So keep mum and tell mum you won't be home that weekend.
It's probably just as well she's not coming home for the weekend. Getting used to the idea she really has gone.
Yes. Got a tenant for the flat yet?
Possibly. Certainly, if Mother has anything to do with it.
She's found someone.
Thinks she has. I told her she'd put an ad in the Lady.
You told me she thought you should.
Yes, well, fearing that I wouldn't do it, with some justification, I may say.
Yes, I have noticed you do seem to be rather dragging your feet about the whole business.
Oh, I wouldn't say that.
And I know how your behaviour would be interpreted, even by someone whose entire knowledge of human psychology had been gleaned from the back of a matchbox.
Well, anyway, since Mother didn't trust me to put the ad in, she's taken it upon herself to do it for me.
Has she?
Yes, and she's had a response beyond her wildest dreams.
Some millionaire widower with a taste for the dominant older woman.
Better than that in Mother's terms. No, the potential tenant is a certain Lady Newby.
I see. An authentic member of the aristocracy.
Or either that or someone whose parents had an imaginative approach to Christian names.
And this, I assume, fits in perfectly with Eleanor's image of the sort of people she should be mixing with.
Oh, yes. If this works out, she'll have nothing else to wish for. Short of a summons to become a lady-in-waiting at Buckingham Palace, of course.
I see.
Such a delightful-sounding person on the telephone, Sarah dear. Really nicely spoken. I mean, there is absolutely no substitute for authentic breeding. And it's all in the voice, you know, all in the voice.
When does this paragon of nobility grace your humble abode with her presence?
This evening. Mother spent the entire day cleaning the family silver.
I didn't know you had any family silver.
Oh, we have, just. Mother has a silver-plated teapot, and I have a real silver cake slice. It's not the greatest array of family silver Lady Newby will ever have seen, perhaps.
No.
But I guarantee they'll be the cleanest.
And of course, this is an extremely nice area, Lady Newby.
Yes.
I mean, the people around here are a very nice class of person. There's no criminal element or anything of that kind. If you lived here, you'd be able to walk the streets without fear.
I beg your pardon.
I think my mother meant that there's no violence.
I see. Of course, this area would be rather different after Chelsea.
Oh, certainly. But then, of course, London's so expensive.
Is it? Really?
Surely you must have noticed.
Thinking about money is so vulgar.
Oh, yes, of course. I do so agree. I personally hardly think about it at all.
Well, I'm afraid if you were interested in the flat, Lady Newby, money would have to be thought about and indeed talked about.
Oh, my solicitors would handle that kind of thing.
Ah. Well, to conclude what I was saying about the area, it's really very difficult to fault it in any way. I mean, when you come down to it, this area is absolutely, thoroughly middle class.
Yes, that's rather what I feared.
The flat itself is really very nice for one person.
No, the accommodation is ideal, certainly. But I'm afraid the decor is, well, perhaps a little young for my taste.
Oh, that, of course, could be changed.
Oh, no, I'm not sure about that.
I really should be going. I asked the driver to collect me at 6:30.
Let me see you out.
Thank you.
Well, as I say, there are great advantages. And the flat, as you see, is completely self-contained. If you moved in, I'm sure you wouldn't want to live in our pockets.
No, I'm sure I wouldn't. There do seem to be rather a lot of stairs.
Oh, they'd be no problem to someone as robust as you, Lady Newby.
Oh, good, the car's there. Well, thank you so much, Mrs. France, Mrs. Prescott. It was most kind of you to show me round.
Our pleasure. And you know, when you've made up your mind.
Well, I shall need to consult my solicitors and the trustees of my late husband's estate.
Exactly what I'd do myself under the circumstances.
What?
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, dear Lady Newby.
Mother,
What, dear?
there was no need to curtsy.
I didn't.
Well, you could have fooled me.
I just lost my balance for a moment.
I see. I don't think she'll take it.
I wouldn't be so sure of that, Sarah.
Too many stairs, and she doesn't share Clare's taste in interior decoration.
No.
No, I think we can forget about the idea of Lady Newby.
You sound almost glad, Sarah.
No, I just... Look, Mother. Lady Newby's after a basement flat decorated in a style that befits her age and status.
Yes.
We don't have one of those.
Oh, but we do, Sarah.
So you mean Eleanor is actually planning to move into Clare's flat?
That is her proposal, yes.
Just to impress Lady Newby?
That's it, pure snobbery.
And is Lady Newby coming to see the other flat?
Oh, yes. I wouldn't have done anything about it, but needless to say, Mother's set it up for this evening.
Well, that's fine. Let the noble dame come, see whether or not she's interested, and you don't have to do anything unless she is.
Ah, would that life were so simple. Unfortunately, that's not how Mother sees it. No, she's insisting on doing a major spring clean of her flat. Washing the curtains, shampooing the carpets, buying in new pictures of the royal family. And what's more, she's insisting on moving a whole lot of her tattier furniture up to Clare's flat.
I see. And when you say that she's insisting on moving the stuff?
I mean that she's insisting on my moving the stuff, yes.
What is it, just little bits?
Oh, by no means. Beds, dressers, wardrobes.
Earth, are you going to manage that lot?
No idea.
Sarah, would it help if I...
Oh, Russell, you've no idea how it would help.
These weekends tend to be pretty informal, you know. Christian names and what have you. Any objection if I call you Clare?
Can't stop you, can I, Mr. Ashley?
No. Look, I think we two should bury the hatchet now, you know. I know our relationship started off as somewhat adversarial, but since I've learnt more about you, Clare, my respect for you has increased.
I'm glad to hear it.
And yours for me has also increased, I like to think.
I have no control over what you'd like to think, do I, Mr. Ashley?
Oh. That's another of the things I admire about you, Clare. Always ready with a quick answer. Not bad.
It's nice.
A miles from anywhere.
Yep. Mind the top.
Mind the carpet.
Oh, there.
How much further?
About that. Okay.
That's about it, isn't it?
I can't thank you enough.
Think nothing of it. I'm sure the exercise did me good. Oh, must have done, mustn't it?
Come on. Let me get you a drink before our invasion by Burke's peerage.
Hello. I'd like to check in too. My name's...
All done, Clare, all done. Let's just get this lot upstairs, shall we?
Oh, all right. Have any of the other people for the seminar arrived yet?
Seminar?
Yes, don't let's worry about that. And if you could just book us in for dinner at 8:30.
Certainly, Mr. Smith.
Mr. Smith?
That's right. Is there a problem, Mrs. Smith?
Now, Clare, it's obvious from the way you've been sparring with me all this time that you fancy me rotten.
I wasn't aware that there was another way of fancying you.
I don't attempt to deny it. There is one area of life, thank goodness, where men remain men and women remain women.
You're right, Mr. Ashley, of course. Mind you, there are other areas where sex makes no difference at all.
It's not the way it looks, really.
Oh, no?
No, you see, the trouble is, my wife doesn't understand me.
I think she understands you only too well, Mr. Smith.
Yes, well, I am extremely grateful to you for showing me round the accommodation, Mrs.
Prescott.
Oh, yes, of course.
I hope you find it to your taste.
Well, there are certain points to recommend it, but of course there is the problem of the steps down to the front door.
Yes, for someone who's not so young, they could be
The
a bit...
previous tenant never had any difficulty with them.
The previous tenant?
Anyway, do take your time to think about it, Lady Newby. I know when I was in a similar position, I, of course, had to consult my solicitors and the trustees of my late husband's estate.
Yes, well, I don't think it would be necessary for me to...
The decor is certainly more suitable to somebody more mature. I'm sure you agree.
Well,
We older people do have our standards, don't we, Lady Newby?
Tell me, Mrs. Prescott, how long have you been in the property rental business?
Property rental business.
I imagine it must be fascinating work. One must meet such an intriguing cross-section of the public. Well, of course, I couldn't do it. I mean, not that kind of thing. Oh, fortunately, I've never had to.
Ah.
Anyway, I must be on my way.
As I say, Lady Newby, there's no hurry. Just let us know your decision when...
I can save you the trouble, Mrs. France. I've decided that the flat isn't for me.
Oh, is it because of the steps?
Well, that's part of it, I suppose, but quite frankly...
Yes.
Well, I can say this because it's a reflection on your previous tenant's taste rather than your own. But I do find the decor rather common.
Common?
Yes. I'm so sorry, but you did ask. Anyway, thank you so much for showing me round. And I wish you the greatest success in your property rental business, Mrs. Prescott. I'm sure if you advertise in the right sort of place, you'll get the right sort of person for this flat. Well, so thank you so much for your assistance. Goodbye, Mrs. Prescott, Mrs. France.
Goodbye, Lady Newby. Well, oh dear.
If there's one thing I can't stand, Sarah, it's snobbery.
No.
Goodness gracious. Who on earth did that woman think she was? Common. All I can say is it takes one to know one.
Makes one to know what, Mother?
Well, there was no way Lady Newby was the genuine article.
What?
Oh, goodness, no. I can always recognize real breeding. That woman wasn't brought up to it, you know.
No?
No. I bet I know how she got her title.
How, Mother?
By marrying some jumped-up little industrialist. Some nasty little northern oik, knighted by the Wilson government for services to local council corruption.
What?
Oh, she was a dreadful woman.
But, Mother, surely you liked her vowels.
Vowels? What have they got to do with anything?
Well, I mean, whatever her background, you can't deny she had genuine aristocratic vowels.
I thought her manner of speech was grotesquely exaggerated. I'd much rather people talked as God intended them to talk.
And how did God intend people to talk?
Well, nicely, just... Well, there's no other word for it, nicely.
Like you talk, perhaps, Mother.
Exactly, Sarah. I'm so glad you understand.
Mummy.
What on earth are you doing here? I thought you were meant to be on your induction course.
Yes, unfortunately, it turned out to be a seduction course.
So it wasn't a high-powered weekend?
No, just a dirty one.
Dear, poor love. Look, how long are you going to be here? When are you going back to Sheffield?
Never.
What? Oh, Claire! Oh.
No, I'm afraid Sheffield was not really a great success.
Complete waste of time.
No, not a complete waste of time, no.
No, you mean you learnt lots of useful stuff about mortgages and investments and so on?
No, I mean I learnt judo. Look, I'll just go down and see Granny.
She'll be ecstatic to see you, love.
And then I'll go up to my own little flat. Oh, you know, I can't wait to be there, to be back home and to find everything just as it always was.
Everything just as it always was. Oh, no. Russell, you remember all that furniture we moved upstairs this afternoon? Well, would you mind coming and helping me move it all down again? Russell, you remember all that furniture we moved... Hello? Russell.